Hey dumplings, it's Dave Decide. Today we are about to talk about BTS and the Met Gala. I have a lot to say about this. I also wanted to get into BTS's name being yelled at on the street and also during the gala. I have a lot of thoughts on this. So, hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Grab your dumpling and please billing my promotion. Let's get into it. BTS is one of the leading male K-pop groups in America, and so no doubt that everyone knows it's a bunch of Korean men. But just like any other boy group, you may not know their faces. I mean, I knew of One Direction for ages without knowing any of their names and faces. However, the difference is when you see a white English man walking down the street with a paparazzi and people asking to take photos, you don't typically say, "Are you a One Direction?" You assume it could be the numerous English people that are in Hollywood right now. But since there are so few Korean celebrities in America, literally every Korean celebrity is mistaken for BTS, and Korean people are yelled at on the street being like, "Hey, are you BTS?" by either paparazzi or the regular people in the area. So what happened? Well, let me give you a backstory. Apparently, Johnny from NCT was invited to attend the Met Gala. This raised controversy on its own as people think it should have been BTS because they broke more records or whatever it is. And I want to get into that more later. But I am happy that there are several Korean acts that attended that night, including Hoyeon from Squid Game and of course Johnny, and maybe even others I am forgetting. This definitely shows the gala is not trying to discriminate and is trying really to be inclusive. And the gala is supposed to represent fashion and art, and fashion is very much trying to push the boundaries. Anna Wintour, the head and chief of the gala, is known to do exactly the opposite of what everyone wants. So being completely unexpected, such things include inviting people who would cause controversy, and at this moment it's inviting Asians. And there's no doubt this causes controversy. It was nice to see someone who isn't too huge in America still have the opportunity to go to the gala. Johnny was walking down the street. I believe this may have been a day before the gala. He was being followed by paparazzi, and this of course drew a lot of attention. He was very kind about this and was not rude. He didn't talk much, as I imagine celebrities are told not to say anything, or not too much, as sometimes paparazzi can edit your words. So he didn't say much, but he did stop and take pictures if someone asked. There was a random person who noticed all this happening and was curious about who this famous Korean celebrity was, and asked Johnny if he was BTS. Johnny very quickly responded, "Nope." This is kind of what every Asian celebrity has to deal with now. There's nothing wrong with being compared to BTS, but if you're simply nothing like BTS or trying to pave your own way, I can see how this is frustrating. This is something that Jay Park talked about and was accused of hating BTS for not wanting people to think he is BTS. I personally can understand this frustration. When my hair was colored, I get people telling me on the street why I was trying to look like BTS. Meanwhile, the color hair that I had, BTS never had. So what is it then? Being Asian, I'm not even Korean. So that's one, and then colored hair. This is the prerequisite for being BTS, because if I was a white person with colored hair, would I be accused of trying to be BTS? I can have a full black hair and still be accused of this. Again, it's an honor, but it's just kind of racist to assume every Asian person is BTS. Moving forward, there was a moment of Johnny at the gala, and I think he was by the door or something, and the paparazzis were screaming at him. One paparazzi yelled out for Johnny to look at him, and Johnny didn't hear, because most celebrities don't hear, right? Like, you'll see these paparazzi videos where it's like, "Selena Gomez, look this way." Selena, and Selena never looks, right? She can't hear you. Like, there's 50,000 people screaming at Johnny at this moment. But let's not even talk about the 50,000 people screaming. How scary is it when you see that many people looking at you with those big cameras? Maybe not to him, but I would be overwhelmed. Anyway, the person yelling at Johnny then said, "Oh no, he can't understand a word I'm saying," as if the majority of people in Asian culture are not taught English in school. I remember when I used to go outside, not anymore. Oh no, not the outside. It's not for me. But I would get people who stopped me on the street for money or for directions, and if I took more than a millisecond to respond, the answer was always, "Do you even know English?" As if when you go to school in America, you don't see any Asian people. Like, it's impossible for an Asian person to know English. Also, Johnny is from Chicago. He is an American citizen. I could speak English like I do in these videos and still get comments from people saying that my English is weird. Is it weird because you can't match my words with this Asian face, or is it actually that I'm speaking gibberish and you can't understand me? Aside from the controversy with Johnny attending the gala, there was a bit of controversy with why BTS wasn't there. So it does beg the question, should BTS be attending every big event that exists in America, or are they allowed to decide what events they should or should not attend? There's several things that I can see that would push BTS not to attend. One, the most obvious, because we just talked about it, which is this idea that they might get racism if they go, so why would they go and just end up being upset at the end of the night? Also, there are several other Asian acts that attended, and if BTS did attend, attend, they would overshadow all of them. And that's not necessarily bad, but I can almost guarantee the next day's headlines would be writing about Taehyung, but then accidentally using Johnny from NCT's photos. And that's like not even the worst thing they can do. Some people could go as far as claim Taehyung and BTS are dating because this is a thing when you're the same race, you're just dating. So that was definitely something they avoided. Whether they thought about it or not, I'm not sure. Another reason that BTS could have not attended is this is a fashion show event, and mostly for actors and singers who are in that line of fashion. So typically people who have worked with the creative directors of big fashion brands. So typically with men, it's harder because these fashion brands would prefer to bring women. It's easier to put on dresses, and typically fashion brands have mostly female or gay clientele anyway. If you're unaware of how the Met Gala works, you can either know Anna Wintour and get invited that way, or if you are a big fashion brand that has worked with Anna, then the brand will be invited and they can decide who they want to invite. Usually this is the ambassadors of their brand. There was controversy of influencers being invited instead of celebrities, but they weren't invited by Anna. Influencers just happened to be the ambassador of many brands. Emma Chamberlain is an example, and then the influencers are also the ambassadors of YouTube or TikTok or whatever, so if YouTube is invited, they'll invite their top influencers. Of course, Taehyung is one of the big ambassadors for Louis Vuitton, and that could be the issue here. If you look back, it's not as common to have a band appear as all of them, and definitely, interestingly enough, not really at all lately. We've had Blackpink attend, and it was only Rosé, and I think it was YSL, and she was the main person for YSL. And again, this was because the brand usually only chooses one person. I think it's $35,000 a head to go, so the brand doesn't want to pay that much to invite all of Blackpink. So if LV did choose Taehyung to go, it would be just Taehyung and not all 7, because imagine the bill, whatever 35,000 times 7 is. And that's not including the accommodations the brand has to pay for and the cost of the outfit, because you don't go to the gala without a custom look. Taehyung has spoken many times in a live stream or interviews that BTS is 7, that they all need to be together. They obviously have that restriction with each other, so it's less likely they will attend this event unless the brand wants to invite all 7 of them. Or if they do end up all doing more solo work, I can see them attending the gala separately. But as of right now, especially as they're preparing for a comeback, they definitely want to all be together. But what do you think? Do you think the boys wouldn't mind going separately and it's not a big deal? Or do you think one of the main reasons could potentially be they don't want to split up, since Taehyung is so vocal about BTS being 7? I'd love to hear your thoughts. It was interesting, for a few weeks leading up to the gala, no one in the BTS community was really talking about it, but then I noticed people were upset when they didn't see BTS. However, the signs of them not going were there. They left Las Vegas 2 weeks before the gala, so they had to do a week-long quarantine in Korea. So they then would spend a week in quarantine and then another week doing stuff in Korea, only to fly back and then go back to Korea to do another week. Likely not. They would just stay in America, in which case, because they didn't, the gala was never on their schedule. Also, schedules are sometimes released publicly within the fan sites or just their official sites, and nothing like this was talked about. I'm also curious if you think BTS was even invited. Seeing people like Johnny or Taehyung invited makes me think that Anna or any brand would definitely want BTS there. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos, link down below. I think it's this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.